You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you.
We're living in a very dangerous time right now, and liberalism has lost their cotton-picking mind.
The Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff's dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods.
Nobody ever said anything about resisting Obama. They went at him on legitimate arguments.
I really do believe that much of what you saw coming out of Trump's mouth was a play from Putin's playbook.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to exposing fake news, the resistance, and Barack Obama's shadow government undermining American progress. Be a part of the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your all-American hosts, Del Marsh and Phil Stargell.
Greetings. Thank you for joining the Abolitionists Roundtable. Today, as I want to, we just came out of a very, very good, one of the best holidays of all, celebrating the birth of a nation, our birth of our nation, and the birth of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our Declaration of Independence. And so we just celebrated something special. I wanted to also just get an opportunity to just say I went out with Patrick Colbeck. Patrick is running for governor, and I had a chance to have some fellowship with him and others when he did his walk in Plymouth and in Northville. So I'm honored that I was able to be out there with Tyrone and also with Linda, two beautiful people. And so again, I just wanted to say, I hope you had a great Independence Day. I had a great Independence Day. I didn't do a whole lot with the family. Oh boy, let me just say this. For me personally, it's just, man, there's so many people out here that's so confused, and it's hard to talk to people, so you kind of distance yourself from them. And so, but I got to get myself and pull myself back in, because these people, we have to have a dialogue with them. We have to talk to them, and we have to show them the light, show them the way. Because what's happening today is that the progressive movement has created what I'm gonna call today's show normal extremes. They have normalized extremes, and so some people. When I say something about some of the over the top immorality, man, is some people. That's just the way it is. That's just the way we're leading. That's just the way, of the world. No, that's not the way of the world. That's the way that the previous administration has led us, and it's opened the door to all the debauchery that we had held abroad for all this time of the founding of our nation, because we all had a consensus to be consistent with the foundation of our Judeo-Christian heritage. That was our foundation. We're going to stick with that foundation. We may disagree politically on a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, we're going to stick with the foundation, our Christian foundation, our Christian heritage. That's what we're going to stick with. That's what's going to be the norm. But today, we have people that have created a new norm. And so one of the things, then let me just mention this, and then we're going to get into the agenda, and we're going to say good morning to Phil. But just think about this right here. Here it is, a young man that's a multi-millionaire playing a game called football, Colin Kaepernick, and he traveled to his so-called his home, nation, Uganda, and what does he do? He does something that Obama did before. He trashed our nation on Independence Day. Why did Obama? He's over in Indonesia. Did you know that President Obama is still traveling around like he's still president? You know that he actually is still meeting with national leaders in countries like he's still a president. Do you know that? That the CIA, the FBI, Attorney General Lynch, they need to call him. Hey, you know what? You're no longer president. You need to go back to doing your community organizing stuff. But anyway, we're gonna go into some of this right here. The normalizing extreme progressive agenda. This is what they believe their agenda should be that's going to help them get back in power. And so we're going to get into this, but first let's say good morning to Phil.
And good morning. And what you were saying about Obama still going around the country as if he's the president.
Yes.
Well, he did that on the way in, and now he's doing it once he's out. If you remember, we weren't doing too much talking with Iran when Obama assumed the presidency, but they asked him in a press conference, would he meet with Iran and discuss their nuclear ambitions, and he said he would. That was in the presidential debates, and he immediately upon assuming office began doing negotiations that were unorthodox. And then what do? He comes up with this agreement with Iran that is going to have a nuclear-armed Iran probably within the next 5 years. And look what we're going through with Korea. When Jimmy Peanuts Carter went over there and under the Clinton administration, doing the same thing Obama's doing, going around meeting with dignitaries and foreign despots like Kim Jong-il at the time. And what do we got? We got an agreement that we cannot live with. We are going to have to do something about an agreement that should never have been made.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Absolutely. We are. The previous administration. You're right about Jimmy Carter. An agreement that should have never been, because the question should have been asked, and where's North Korea getting all this money at to build up their military, to have all these ballistic military demonstrations? And so that money comes from somewhere.
It comes from the people, because
the people over there starving.
Exactly, and if you take a international measurement of the North Koreans and the South Koreans, there is a noticeable difference between the stature in height.
Oh, really?
Of the men in South Korea and the men in the North. And it's about between 4 and 6 inch difference in the height. That is incredible. So that is where it plays out, because they don't have the nutrition. The only people that get the nutrition are the soldiers. The people are starving.
Okay, the soldiers and the leadership that's in the government today. All right, well, here. All right, thanks, Phil, for updating us on that right there. But here, folks, we just heard a number of things happen. Of course, we know that President Trump met with Putin. We know that he did the G20 summit. We know that they bust in the protesters, and they had the signs that were all written in English. even though they're in Germany, I'm trying to figure out, how did that happen? We know the MSNBC, instead of covering the president, they decided to cover the protesters. That's why the signs were written in English, so that they can make sure the American people see this right here. That's called propaganda, and that means that it was set up and orchestrated by the people in America, American elites, again, to show that people abroad hate Trump, when it's not true. If you watch his speech, you saw the energy from the crowd. The crowd had no problem with him at all. Matter of fact, I even see that they even planted here they over in Germany, and I saw somebody holding up a Confederate flag, and I said, look at this. It's still another plant right here. You liberals never ever stop. No. They never stop. Now, I mean, you in another country, if I was President Trump, we're not in America, I would have told him, whoever that is, the laws here in Germany is different. This is not America. Yeah. That flag doesn't represent anything here in Germany. That flag needs to go.
Yeah, but have you seen any of the signage? The protest signs that they have, what are they doing in English? I mean, that's not America. No. They are doing this to play to an American audience.
That's right.
They're not thinking about the people that
And that's why I said that MSNBC was assigned only to the protesters, so that they can show those signs, so that they can show the anger, so that they can they constantly want the news cycle to be that it's this animosity, this anxiety, this hatred for Trump, for America, for this, that Putin influenced our election. Even though Podesta doesn't want to give up his emails so that the FBI can take a look at it, but that's a different story. Again, like I said, this normalizing, and so when we see protesters, this has become normal. Well, we've always had protesters. Always. Every president always had protesters, but not to the point where they start busting in protesters. But here, Phil, hold on, because we done kind of got a little off. They got a little misdirected or side from our agenda. I'm going to get back on the agenda. And because we got some great stuff we want to talk to, we want to get our audience involved. So, Derek, we're going to take a break, and once we come back from break, folks, we're going to get started again. All right, I'll see you on the other side of the break.
And now back to the Abolitionists Roundtable. Patriotic Black American conservatism, leading the charge and advancing the 4%. Back to your hosts, Del and Phil.
Greetings. Thank you for joining the Abolitionists Roundtable. We want to continue, and if you don't mind holding on, no matter if I change subjects, if we talk about something else, we want you to hold on. We want you to be a part of the conversation. But I want to, because we have an agenda, we have something that we want you to hear, and Germany is important, and the protesters, everything. But then we have to deal with this liberal Linda Sarsour. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play I'm going to play a couple of sound bites. I'm going to play one first. Phil and I are going to address this a little bit, and we're going to get your input, and then we got another one we want to play. And then on the other side of the break, we're going to deal with the normalize extremes, because this is an extreme woman right here. But liberals today, they helping normalize her. She was one of the organizers of the Pute women's march, and Bernie Sanders. She thanked Bernie Sanders for helping with support the progressive cause, and helping the women, the Pute march being successful. So she was responsible for them wearing all those little ugly hats. You know, in Islam, do you? Well, here I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, folks. So, Derek, if you don't mind, we're gonna play the first part of the soundbite, just the first part. Okay, so go ahead, Derek.
Sisters and brothers, it's been 16, almost 17 years since the horrific attacks of 9/11, and we still, as a community, find ourselves unprepared in so many moments. Why, sisters and brothers? Why are we so unprepared? Why are we so afraid of this administration and the potential chaos that they will ensue on our community? And we already saw their potential when they come out every few weeks. Muslim ban 1, Muslim ban 2, Muslim ban 3. They are relentless, they are persistent and consistent, and want to see how much we as a community can endure, and want to see who our friends are and how hard we're going to fight back against this administration. And I hope that when we stand up to those who oppress our communities, that Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad, that we are struggling against tyrants and rulers, not only abroad in the Middle East or in the other side of the world, but here in these United States of America, where you have fascists and white supremacists and Islamophobes reigning in the White House.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, oh boy, we got to deal with that right there, because, well, Phil, what did you want to say first? Because I see it's on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, first thing I would say is that the people that voted for Trump better hope that Trump is what she said, insistent and persistent in their pursuit to take out this nonsense about this this movement, you know, about the jihad thing. You know, he's very, very insistent on that, and we need to make sure that we let him know that we want him to continue to be insistent and persistent in wiping this stuff off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah, because and you know, and how can she want to say that here in America now? First she called for jihad, and that Allah will find this acceptable. He will see this as a form of oppression in our communities. That Allah will accept that that from us, that this is a form of jihad. Now we have to go back and really understand what the word jihad means. We see this all around the world. Now she talking about jihad, so this is a trigger word. She got to remember, just like Obama arrested somebody and took him and put him in jail, talking about he made a video that was offensive. She just said something that the Muslim extremists around the world now have become emboldened. Now, just this first, let's talk about since 9/11. She's saying since 9/11, we're still unprepared. Wait a minute. Since 9/11, there's been an additional 31,000. This is from ReligionofPeace.com. You probably know about this website. There's been 31,148 attacks, Phil, around the world by jihadists.
And every last one of them will, if they didn't kill themselves in the process, will tell you that that's part of the jihad.
That's a part of the jihad right there. So,
and they want to try to tell you that jihad is something that makes them a better Muslim. That and Sharia law. I say this: if you want to be a better Muslim, find another way. Because you should be trying to be a better American if you're going to live here.
Yes,
and anything that makes you anything but a better American, I'm against it.
That's right. And so when you say the word jihad, we look at all these attacks. There's been 31,000 since 9/11. That's unprecedented. We're supposed to just look past that. We're supposed to just act like that doesn't exist at all. But not only that, but just in last month, in the month of June, there's been 164 attacks. There's been 1,176 people killed. There's been 1,382 people injured. 34 suicide bombers have did all this in over 30 countries. This is unprecedented. It's not that somebody hates you or hate Muslims, but folks, we have to be realistic.
And we
have to be real.
Ourselves and our people. That Donald Trump, it would be derelict in his duties if he didn't do everything he could to stop that kind of nonsense.
And not only does it help Americans, if she's an American, this is helping her as an American. It's not that Donald Trump is no fascist. Where's these white supremacists at? Where's these Islamic phobics that's reigning in the White House that shouldn't be there? This sounds just like Democrat talking points.
That's what it is. They've been using them.
This is the script.
They've been using them. The only word that they haven't been using is jihad. they've used every other word that she used.
So, but here, I want to hear from you on this and whatever else you want to talk about. I mean, we're going to deal with this right here. So, Phil, we're going to go to Todd from White Lake first. Good morning, Todd. Happy belated Independence Day to you, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Fez. Happy Independence Day back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just like you're talking about the typical playbook of these goofballs.
That's right.
Sprinkles of kernels of truth, and then 99.9% lies, like we just heard. But going back to propaganda, with what you talked about earlier in the show in Germany, my sister-in-law's from Germany. She was over here during the election, and all of the things that she heard about Donald Trump over in Germany, she actually saw to be absolutely 100% untrue. And
Todd, do me a favor.
To be crazy, and she actually changed her mind about Donald Trump and was for him.
Okay, if you don't mind, Todd, hold on. We're going to let you finish your thought. If you hold on the other side of the break, give us a call, 734-822-1600.
You're listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable with your hosts, Del and Phil. They're exposing the left's underground resistance while leading the charge in the fight for liberty. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is Logically Speaking Uncensored, a United States essential, English only. One of the most effective mechanisms of warfare, social conflicts, and politics is the tactic of divide and conquer. The tactic of divide and conquer has been a mainstay of despots and tyrants for centuries. Even the Bible admonished in Mark 3:25 that a house divided against itself cannot stand. Before the United States became a nation, the seditionist loyalist forces, allied with England, employed the tactic of divide and conquer. Modern-day liberals, also known as Democrats, the heirs of the loyalists, have refined the tactic into a formidable weapon of mind destruction. The Civil War is a prime example of the death, devastation, and mayhem that results when a nation is divided. People by the thousands died and suffered due to the liberals' dedication to a political philosophy of segregation, separation, and slavery. Liberals glory in their ability to camouflage their tactics and repackage them under the banner of political correctness. Liberal efforts to subordinate the English language is part of their plot to implant Spanish as a linguistic wedge to balkanize the United States into socialistic anti-American enclaves. There are many foreign languages spoken in America, so what makes Spanish more important than others? The answer is liberal political pandering, which allows them to perpetrate the fraudulent entity called Hispanics and create more hate American first victims to exploit. The English language is the most widely spoken language in the world. Air controllers, ocean navigators, the internet, space explorations, as well as international commerce and financial transactions are conducted as a rule in English. For years, liberals have fought any attempt to ratify English as the official language of the United States. They have willfully ignored the fact that whomever controls the language controls the nation. The primary language of our founding fathers was English. The Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and our laws of jurisprudence and congressional legislation are composed and written in English. Making English the national language of the United States is a prerequisite for our sovereignty and is essential for our survival. If we want America to remain strong and united, we who are aware of the liberals' nefarious tactic of divide and conquer must make English only a constitutional reality. There should be no exceptions to this matter, and any citizen, elected official, especially Republican, who does not support the English-only proposition is not an American patriot. For national unity is impossible without a unified language. I am Milt, logically speaking, uncensored, saying, think about it.
Thanks for sending that out. All right, one more time. Thanks, Milt, for sending that commentary down. All right, so if you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call, 734-822-1600. We're talking about the normalizing extremes. That liberals believe that that they can use people like this Linda Sarsour, what is it again, Phil?
Sarsour.
This is going to help them win elections right here. So the more extreme, the better. But we're going to let our friend Todd from Whitmore Lake finish what he was saying, finish his thoughts, and then we're going to get with you folks in just a minute. All right, Todd, go ahead. I want you to finish your thought. I'm sorry we had to cut it off a little early there.
Oh, that's okay. It happens.
Yep.
So just to let you guys know,
yes,
minds can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
My sister-in-law is German. She lives in
yes.
Berlin. A lot of the propaganda that goes on over there, she was definitely against Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton was the best.
Okay.
But when she was over here during the election season, she got to see firsthand from what my wife and I watch and the radio shows we listen to, and she figured it out that Hillary Clinton was nothing but a big fat crook.
Yes.
And that what was being told to them in Germany through their propaganda was totally untrue. It was flat-out lies. So minds can be changed. They just have to get those 100% kernels of truth to be able to move on.
Yeah. Absolutely. There is hope. If we, sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes I don't want to deal with, for me personally, people in my family, man, I've argued with them for years. Now I'm to the point where I just said, I just go outside when they come over and visit. I don't talk to them about stuff. I don't, because, we see the whole world turned upside down.
Yeah.
And they can't see it. That's really disturbing to me.
Yeah, and what's really more disturbing to me than anything is how easily our young people accept the fact that it just has to be a Democrat or a Hillary or a Bill Clinton or a Barack Obama in the highest office of the land. They have totally accepted, just like they've accepted the idea of this single-payer nonsense for our health care. They are determined to run us to a socialist nation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to do everything I can to fight it.
That's right. All right, thanks a lot, Todd. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, Phil, let's get to a few more calls here. And this is Bruce from Grosse Pointe.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Bruce.
Yeah, well, first of all, I hope you guys had a really good Independence Day, reflected on sacrifices that our founders made and were redeemed several times over in the blood of patriots. Del, I hear where you're coming from. I have that same problem with some of the people in my family too. I don't understand how my mom could have raised some people to be on our side of things and others to be on their side of things. But that's neither here nor there. Linda Sarsour, the woman's a traitor. Plain and simple. Anybody who calls for the violent overthrow of a duly elected legitimate presidency, administration, government in this country is a traitor, and she should have been run in as soon as these remarks were made public. Aren't we in a time of war, guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely, we are.
Now, Phil, you and I know what happens to traitors in time of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What should have happened, but you know, a lot of that has been taken back. You know,
right?
We live in a very sensitive society now that with all the political correctness, and so yeah, what used to or what would have. We live in a different era right now.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah,
I guess we could probably trace this back to when Jane Fonda went over to Hanoi and was making all her treasonous statements against our troops over there. Nothing happened to her when she came home. In fact, she became fabulously wealthy beyond her wildest dreams and that sort of thing.
And somebody that the young people in this country looked up to and listened to.
Yeah, and my God, I mean, and this woman is still around spouting the same kind of crap she was doing 50 years ago. These people never change, guys. You know, once a progressive or a liberal or a leftist, always a leftist, with very, very few exceptions.
And that's the thing that bothers me so much about it, is that they have accepted what they tell you that they don't like about Trump or Reagan or even a George Bush.
Right.
What they insist on is that we've got a book of rules and we ought to live by.
Right.
They don't want to live by those rules. They want to make up new rules. And then if you don't go for that, then they want to do the harshest punishment that they can find for you. And it's against everything they stand for, but that's the way they are. I mean, they want you to kowtow to every rule that they make.
Right, and the thing is, you know, we know, and they tell us every day by their actions. We know what they want. We know what their philosophy is. We know what their ideology is, and that is everything that is anathema to this country. Everything that is foreign to what, like I said, going back to July 4th, to Independence Day. The principles that were laid down and set forth in the Declaration, as well as the Constitution, they are against all that. They hate freedom. They hate liberty. They want people enslaved. They want people to be dependent upon them. And you know.
And you can hear it in their rhetoric. What do they tell you when you talk about revising the communist idea of health care? Of Obamacare. What do they tell you? If you do this, if you take anything away from it, you're going to take people's health care and people are going to die.
That's right.
This is the rhetoric they use. And it's every day. You know, this is every day. If we say anything about anybody dying, the first thing they say is that you're inciting violence.
Right. Right.
But they tell you every day that if you go with take away Obamacare, people are going to die.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it Elizabeth Warren or one of these crackpots are saying how millions of people a day were going to die?
Yeah, yeah.
my Lord, there's only 300 million people in this country, and 93 million people die a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that only gives us less than a week.
Yeah. All right, Bruce. Here we have some other calls. We got to move
guys.
on. Thank
you.
you.
Thanks a lot for letting me vent my spleen as always.
Absolutely. All right.
You guys are the greatest. I love you both, and
all right.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, talk to you soon. All right, Derek, here we're going to go to a break real quick, Derek, and then once we go to the break, we're going to finish up with this. We got the second part to this young lady's soundbite to what she said to Linda's, and then we're going to get with the rest of the calls. So, Derek, let's go to a break real quick.
And now back to the Abolitionists Roundtable. Patriotic Black American conservatism, leading the charge and advancing the 4%. Back to your hosts, Del and Phil.
All right, greetings, folks. We're back one more time. Thanks for joining the Abolitionists Roundtable. Here, I'm going to read a couple of headlines, and then we're going to get to the second part of this the statements of Ms. Sarsour, that's calling for jihad, and we have to understand what jihad is. Again, we see all these. There's a campaign all around the world right now. Here, this is some of the headlines from ReligionofPeace.com. Jihad go on Christian killing spree in Egypt. I noticed that she's not talking about, there's a tyrant here, as a fascist here, but but I noticed you're not outspoken about Christians that's being killed by your religion, abroad, around the world, that's in right now, that's happening in Egypt at all. I see that Colin Kaepernick, he can travel to an African nation and down this nation right here, no different than Barack Hussein Obama. The same old rhetoric, same exact thing. Same thing, here here we was just celebrating our Independence Day, and Barack Obama, this is according to the American Mirror, Obama warned about too much patriotism. Take your community organizers and say, this fool still running around acting like he president. Why would any leader around the world even sit down and talk to him? Sir, you're not president. Go back to whatever you was doing. Go back to your bunker in Washington that's down the street. Your underground bunker that's manipulating not just America, manipulating the whole world. All right, so here, let's go back to the second part of this soundbite. Folks, I want you to listen to this right here. This is how extreme these people are. They trying to lead us. They trying to, she's using trigger words for these extremists, for these Muslim extremists to go out and do something. Trigger words. All right, Derek, go ahead and play the second part.
We have to stay outraged. Do not criticize me when I say that we as a Muslim community in these United States of America have to be perpetually outraged every single when I wake up
hold on just a minute. Stop for a minute. You better be outraged. Yeah, we must be perpetually outraged. Yeah. In this United States of America, they sound just like, blacks. Yeah. They sound like Jesse. This is the same kind of talking points of Jesse Jackson and Sharpton and all the others.
The BDS movement, same thing. She's Palestinian.
Yes,
that's what the whole deal is.
So you should be outraged. Well, hold on. It's not that Trump is banning. It's a ban on Muslims. It's a ban on extremists from extremist countries. Yeah. You should be a part of this. You should say, you know what? Absolutely, we want to stand with him on this right here. We want to combat this violence. But no, it's the opposite. Go ahead, Derek, and finish up.
And I remember who's sitting in the White House. I am outraged. This is not normal, sisters and brothers. Those people sitting in the most powerful seats in this country is not normal. So do not ever be those citizens that normalize this administration, because when the day comes that something horrific happens to us or to another community, you will be responsible for normalizing this administration. Our number one and top priority is to protect and defend our community. It is not to assimilate and to please any other people in authority. Our obligation is to our young people, is to our women, and make sure our women are protected in our community. And our top priority, even higher than all those priorities, is to please Allah and only Allah.
All right. Okay. All right. Now we know who Allah is. He is the greatest. Absolutely. And so and Allah called for jihad. All right. So but this is somebody that the CIA, the FBI, this is what Comey and them should have been working on right here. Looking at and watching and the rhetoric and of people like this right here. This is a very dangerous person.
They're too busy watching the White House and leaking information out of the White House to make this president look as if he's a dictator. That's what they are up to.
Yeah, and so, but no, instead, I mean, because this over the top rhetoric right here, I'm with protecting your communities. If you don't want to assimilate, then don't assimilate. But then, because you create your own, you want to create your own.
But if she wants to protect her community, she should be protecting it against those Arabs that don't agree with her, the ones that want to blow her up.
Absolutely,
because they don't.
We'll come to her house and drag her out and hang her rape her or manipulate. Here she talking about let's stay within our own community. This is from Wales Online. It says Marsh teacher jailed for sexually assaulting children during a Quran study. He got 13 years. I understand you want to stay within your community, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on in your community.
And
so
remember,
you want to assimilate.
Muslims kill more Muslims than anybody.
Absolutely, they do, and so this rhetoric is just dangerous, over the top. I understand you want to protect your women, protect your communities. There was under Barack Hussein Obama's administration, there were 300 girls that were kidnapped. Christian girls. I noticed that you was not outspoken about that at all. And these young girls were raped and they were taken away from their families. They were never brought back to their families at all. Only thing Michelle could do is hold up a sign saying "Bring back our girls." Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's all. So you hashtag bring back our girls. That's the best that you can do. Yeah. But anyway, Phil, I just want to say that okay. So it's out. It's out. They put it out on the table. They would not assimilate. They about just staying within their own community. She said that, hey, if you normalize this administration in any way, you're responsible for anything that happened. Well, hold on. It's not that something that's going to happen from this administration. The stuff that happened come from within your own community. Let's go to Gary from Hazel Park. And Gary, it was a pleasure meeting you, my friend, at the parade.
Well, thank you, and I had a great time the other day, no doubt. This woman, at least we know where she stands. There's no ambiguity about where she stands. But let's go to the progressives. The progressives really are a bunch of liars. Their program is not to bring things forward. It's regressive. Yeah. It's the destruction of the church, destruction of the state, destruction of the military, and so that they can, in effect, take over the country because they've made the country so weak that we can't fight back. What they didn't expect is the jihadists to come in and hijack their movement. So if the jihadists ever take over this country, the progressives will be the first ones to feel the sword because they're the perverts of the retrobates that the jihadists would just take out right away.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. So, all right, Gary, I'm sorry I got you on at the last minute. We're at the end of the show, and we'll see you next week, folks.
1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil and Del at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.